Now, from CBS 4 News, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Good morning, I'm Jim DeFede, and welcome to Facing South Florida. An amazing week in politics as we heard for the first time from Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Democrats are now inching closer to impeachment. We will discuss that with Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz in a few minutes. But first, my exclusive interview with Brad Parscale, the campaign manager for President Donald Trump's re-election efforts. Parscale was the digital guru for the president's 2016 campaign, spending $97 million in highly targeted ads on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media sites. In many ways, Parscale redefined how social media was used in presidential campaigns. This time around, he's in charge of the whole campaign in what may turn out to be a billion-dollar operation. On Thursday, Parscale was in Little Havana to headline a fundraiser for the Miami Young Republicans, and we had a chance to sit down with him before the event. Brad, thank you very much for doing this. Let's get started.
Thank you.
How critical is Florida for the 2020 re-election?
Look, I mean, Florida's always going to be critical. I mean, it's a key state. It's got a lot of electoral votes. It's Trump country, as I call it. It's a state we need to win, and I think we will win. I think we're in the driver's seat right now to win it. I think everything in the policies the president has done has put Florida easily on the win map for us right now.
Would impeachment be good politically for the president?
Look, I've been saying this. The more they beat that drum, the more they keep saying impeachment, the more this emboldens our campaign, and it pushes us forward. I think that they're making a mistake doing that. I think the polling data and the things that are out there show that we're on the right side of this issue, and I think that's why you see them making the actions they are right now. But they're going to beat that drum, and it's going to push us forward, and it's going to empower our campaign to even bigger victory.
There was a lot made recently of some internal polling that was leaked. I know you pushed back against it. That sort of said if the election were held today, which of course is a big star caveat to put next to it, that the president would lose certain states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, I think Wisconsin as well. Is that accurate? If the election were held today, would the president lose?
Look, polling information comes, you ask a lot of questions. This was a large-scale sample, and they took one little tidbit they thought, and they wanted to make that sound like a big deal. The truth is, when you actually take him against any defined candidate, when you define what they stand for, what they do, and you make it a two-way race or against them or a three-way race, the president comes out on top. This is the mistake that people said. There are cases over the years, if you go back to 2011 with Obama, and you had some undefined perfect candidates, that you would have a different thing. As soon as the candidate had to make a position or you actually run a campaign, all of a sudden the polling shows something different. So the president is in a winning position when you have him against a defined candidate.
That sounds to me, though, like as of today, he would not win. But once the campaign is starting to move and defined, he would win.
No, what I even mean, I mean even simpler than that. I mean, as soon as you say, this is the candidate right now.
Joe Biden, for instance.
Yes, and you say, here are the 5 issues Biden stands for. He already starts to win. The problem right now is you have people that don't even know what the other people are running for, they even know. They don't know anything about it. So if the campaign was today, they would be defined. So it's not about win. It's just they don't have the same name ID. The president's policies are well known. People understand his positions. They don't know these other candidates well. All they know about Biden was he was a vice president. They don't know what he stands for. And when they learn that he's for big government socialism, therefore a lot of things that are going to destroy jobs and tear the country down, all of a sudden you see the president skyrocket ahead.
Do you see Biden as the greatest threat?
No, look, I don't see any of them as a threat right now. I think the president right now is in a great position for victory. I think his policies, I think you see that in Florida right now with some of the national unemployment, or the unemployment in the state even lower than national unemployment. In the Miami area, you see even lower at 2.5%, 3.5% in Florida. I think those economic numbers are going to, when people go into the ballot box and they vote for the future of their family, they're going to see the successes this president's done.
Just to go back to Florida for a second, do you put Florida as must-win? I realize that you didn't actually need Florida's electoral votes in the last one, but do you see it as a must-win?
In my columns, Florida's a do-or-die state. I think that's. But I also think it's a state we can easily win. I think it's.
What does that mean, though, when you say it's a do-or-die state?
Well, I think that it's no different than for a Democrat. California is a do-or-die state in some ways, right? Or Texas is a do-or-die state. You can't lose these states as Republicans. It's the way the Electoral College works. I'm not saying that Florida is in a place that we are going to lose. I'm just saying it's one of those states we need to win as a Republican to go. And I think Ohio's another one of those for us. Texas is one of those. Those are 3 states as Republicans that have large electoral counts that right now are Republican-leaning states that we need to win.
You talked about expanding the map.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about what states you think are in play that the Democrats may be taking for granted.
Yeah, I think if you look at it more of saying what states in 2016 we lost that we can flip, and I think the three main states I'm looking at right now are New Hampshire, New Mexico, and Nevada. Those three states are, if you look at the Latino vote and the way we've progressed and continue to be successful with that vote, it has brought the Southwest up for us, and I think that's made New Mexico now in play. If not, we're in the lead. Nevada, not only to play, we're in the lead, and I think some of the economic decisions, and I think the differences in the political landscape of 2020 for New Hampshire, I think it's in play for the president as well.
Have you read the Mueller report?
I have not read it page to page. I knew that you were going to ask that, but
have you read some of it?
Yeah, I've read some of it, and I also have a large staff, which is nice. They said, read this, read that. Here's a summary report. Here are some other parts of it. I obviously scanned it for my own name when it first came out as well.
Only one reference.
Only one reference.
Were you disappointed?
That I was only referred to it once? No, I was tickled pink. I know I didn't do anything wrong, and I knew that my team didn't do anything wrong, and the report obviously showed there was no conspiracy or collusion, no case for obstruction.
Correct on all those points. One of the things, though, that it did say was that the Russian government did attempt to interfere in the election on behalf of Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton. My question to you is, did you have any sense of that during the campaign?
Yeah, I didn't have any sense of that, and I continue to say I've never been shown any proof directly. I've never seen anything that was in the report. I've never had anybody show me that it actually affected a single vote. There's one thing for people attempting to do things, another thing with them actually being successful. The Democrats wanted to make it look like they were successful. My argument is I haven't seen any proof of that.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there a concern on your part that there would be an attempt by a foreign government to interfere in a similar way? For instance, this time against the president. For instance, could China perhaps use some of that micro-targeting on social media that you know so well?
Look, I've always said that I do not want any foreign entity to meddle in our elections. I think the social media companies are going to be much smarter this time. I think the president is working on and doing things to make it tougher. Obama and Biden were asleep at the wheel the last time. They knew it. They didn't do anything about it. This president's not going to do that. So I think that's already a better situation than 2016 was.
I know I'm getting the signal to wrap, but I just want to ask one last thing, just a little bit about Twitter, staying on social media for a second. Is there ever a moment where you wake up and see what the president's tweeted where it gives you any heartburn?
Well, I mean, I would clearly not be alive if I said no. Yeah, of course, but that's what campaign managers do. My job is to get heartburn and then to continue down the path of victory. He is the boss of this campaign, and he's the one with the incredible political, radar and directional arrow, and my job is to follow that and to successfully implement what he wants.
Are you looking to create an account for him on Parler?
No, people bring that up. Look, my job is to monitor all of everything out there. I monitor everything and anything there is social media and make sure that if anything changes, we're going to be ready. I think we have a lot of things up our sleeve that we haven't even announced yet that will even give us more capability to talk to our volunteers and our supporters.
Well, you got me to sign up on Parler, so I'm actually on it now. And I know he's going to come in here in a second, but I'm going to ask this. What's the one thing, because I think you'll like this question, what's the one thing that the media continues to get wrong about Trump supporters?
Look, I think there's a lot of things that just get wrong about Trump himself. I mean, this is a man who didn't need to do this. He wanted to do this for this country. He had a great life, and now everyone says that he did it for some reason. He needed something else, and this is a man who actually is fun to be around. He's patient with me. I've worked for him for 9 years almost now, or almost 10. I don't know. I'm starting to lose the math. And I think that people understand that, he loves this country and he's fighting for it every day. And this fight isn't as much a fight for himself. It's for every individual that was just being left behind. And I think that there were millions of people, and I've gone all over this country. I've got to see more of it than I've ever imagined I ever would. And it was amazing how many people just felt like it had all come down to a few cities and a few people that thought they were more important than all the rest of us. And I think that's the beauty that our country was set up for. And I think that the president recognized he had a special skill that could change that for all of America.
Brad Parscale, thank you very much for your time. Let's talk about messaging for a second. In 2016, Parscale built a database of 9 to 10 million emails and cell phone numbers that they could then tailor messages to. This time around, Parscale is predicting they will have 50 million, maybe even 60 million emails and cell phone numbers. One of the keys to building that database? Merchandise. The campaign sells a dozen different varieties of the Make America Great Again hats, nearly 60 different T-shirts and jackets. They sell bathing suits, dog collars, Christmas ornaments, and beer cozies. And when you buy those items, they capture your contact info. We've never seen an operation on this scale before. Now, after our formal interview, I had a chance to catch up with Parscale a second time at the Young Republicans event. And this time I asked him, what kept him up at night?
What keeps me up at night about the campaign? It's the first time for that question. Right now I'm sleeping pretty good. I mean, we've built out a pretty good organization. I would say, a year ago was different. I think by the time this is done, I'll be campaign manager for over 900 days. I think that might be a record. I still got 587 days to go. I think it's 583 today. I don't know, I'm guessing. Somewhere around that. Look, I still think we have to build out credible coalitions. Look, we'll probably have to raise $1 billion if there's anything that keeps me up. How do you get to $1 billion? I think we're going to do it, though. I think our small dollar operation and all the prospecting we've done, I think the president's popularity now around strong Republicans will continue to raise money. I hope we even get higher than $1 billion.
Now, to put that $1 billion figure in some context, in 2016, the Trump campaign spent less than $400 million, and Hillary Clinton spent $768 million. Up next, we talk impeachment with Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz.